6 years ago in a galaxy far, far away, a long time ago. Downtown Durham was going through a renaissance, but at the time was still viewed as a dangerous place to be. People who were not from Durham or were just in the Triangle, hadn't spent much time in downtown Durham, were like, why would I go there, let alone start a business there? And yet what was happening at that point in time was Durham was starting to attract a few entrepreneurs, people who wanted to start companies and do that in downtown Durham. But the Chamber of Commerce in particular wanted to really accelerate that. I'm going to call out Casey Steinbacher for her leadership on this. Casey was at the time CEO of the Durham Chamber of Commerce and basically said, look, I think we've got a chance to really focus on the entrepreneurial community in Durham and as an economic development organization drive more entrepreneurial activity in the city, but I'm not sure how to do that. And so at the time I actually was not here at the Underground. I came over to work for Casey in that role and help try to figure out these pieces and parts of the startup ecosystem and what was needed in Durham. And so I was sitting down having a cup of coffee, and you're going to see this in a video here in just a second, with a guy named Aaron Houghton. Y'all know Aaron Houghton? Anybody familiar with that name? He started a company called Eye Contact, which sold for a lot of money. And he did that in Durham, and he, as an entrepreneur, was always giving back. He was getting a cup of coffee with me, and we were talking through kind of this perception issue that Durham had and this desire to grow the entrepreneurial community here. And he said, well, why don't you just give away some free space for a couple months and see if some entrepreneurs will show up? I was like, that's a simple enough idea. We could probably figure out how to do that. And so I got together with a guy named Matthew Coppage from Downtown Durham Inc., and we hatched this idea called the Startup Stampede. And the goal of this was super simple. It was getting people over this hurdle of not wanting to be in Durham to start their company, and just taking all the obstacles off the table: free space, great internet connection, access to resources and networks, accountants, attorneys, expert entrepreneurs to help early stage companies get their start. Totally free, no strings attached. We weren't taking any equity from these companies. It was just a chance to come try Durham for 2 months. And so we kicked that off in 2011, and I apologize, this image is a little small. In 2011, we launched. We had 80-some companies apply, which blew us away, people applying from across the country to come to Durham to get their companies started. We picked 12, we kicked off the program. That's Aaron Houghton sitting on this teller counter, and I'm gonna give you all a prize if you can guess where that is. Anybody look real hard at that image and give me a guess of what building that's in? Shut up. There's like 10 people in the room who are not allowed to answer this question. Any guesses? Yes.
Self-help?
Yeah, it's a self-help building. Can you be more specific?
One with the teller counter?
Which one?
One with the teller counter?
Yeah. It's actually the Indie Weekly space. So you're going to see a video here in a second. This program ran out of what is now the Indie Weekly space. It was the former Latino Community Credit Union space. Wasn't in use at the time. We approached self-help about giving us a great deal in the space to get companies in it and bring it to life with some startup companies. So this is Aaron sitting on the teller counter talking about building a startup company. In the bottom line, I'll talk about some of the outcomes, but this program went way better than expected. We actually ran the program 3 times with 36 companies. Got a ton of coverage for the startups that were in the program. This is an Atlantic piece that was written about the second session that we did with these startup companies. So with that, I'm going to step aside and show you all a little bit of a video that's going to give you some more color on this and tell you about what we did. You might want to.
The Startup Stampede came out of a conversation I was having with Aaron Houghton, his founder of Contact. We had this conversation about 6 months ago about how we could really accelerate more startups downtown. And he had this wild hair of an idea to just give away free space for 60 days. And so the Startup Stampede really evolved out of that. And we think of it really as a runway. We are giving people 60 days to ramp up their idea. We're providing them with great resources, connections, and networks to get their idea off the ground. Whatever they have into these companies, and I would say that's probably 75% of them. This is what they're doing now. So
they need to be successful.
The application process was open to anyone in the country. We focused our marketing efforts primarily on the Triangle in North Carolina.
We went through the applications and scored all of them, and we chose the top 15.
My name is Alex Gibson. I'm with Ripple. It's Ripple with 3 Ps, R-I-P-P-P-L-E.
I'm Joel Sadler. Bound Custom Journals started as an idea in 2009.
So our company is called Appyware. We help mobile app developers better merchandise and market their apps.
I'm Allison Winfield-Kaloo. I am the principal and CEO of PharmaQ.
It's a true entrepreneurial endeavor for all these companies. Many of them are trying to actually work on the side, keep their full-time job going while they're launching this company. So they have an incredible amount of work-life balance that's at stake, trying to manage family and keep all of these balls in the air, so to speak.
Well, the first thing we do is these practice pitches, where people can come in, they can pitch their company, their idea to all the other people that are in the Stampede.
PharmaQ is the evolution of patient recruitment.
Entrepreneurs invigorate markets and empower communities by transforming ideas into economic opportunities.
Who would they be? Just patients in the community that don't have health insurance, that do need to go to the doctor once or twice a year and they don't have the doctor.
They can get feedback on what investors might be looking for. The good thing is we have companies that have been in business for a while. There's some serial entrepreneurs that have done businesses before.
And that community aspect, I think, is really critical because what we found is that those startups, when they interact with each other, their ideas become a lot sharper.
The first thing an investor is going to ask is, how did you use that $10 million market?
Yeah, the feedback I would have is one is that I think that Hollywood thing is a little too long.
And the fact that you have entrepreneurs who are like me, who like bootstrap, you essentially help them build up their customer base.
The biggest thing for me is just being surrounded by a lot of other entrepreneurs, sort of these weird ideas that people come up with, and some of them actually turn into businesses, and some of them end up just being talking points at lunch. I've learned more in the last month and a half just starting this company, even though I started 4 others, than I have in the previous 2 or 3 years.
Another thing we're trying to do is save these entrepreneurs as much money as we can on the front end. So we're doing that by providing startup law panels, marketing panels, and accounting panels. So the basics that you need at the beginning of getting your company off the ground.
What you're doing is you're taking people who aren't necessarily marketing people and you're putting them in a public speaking role. And that's a challenge for a lot of these people. And I think just learning that part of it is really key and it's really helped them in the Stampede, is to do that pitch numerous times over and over and over so you get better.
This elevator is going to look very familiar to y'all.
Hi, I'm Joel Sadler, Bound Custom Journals. I don't know if you're a traveler at all, but with Bound Custom Journals, when you travel, you'd be able to make a map or a journal with maps of everywhere that you're going, or if you're an artist, maybe like graph paper, line papers, anything, you come to our website and make a journal exactly the way that you need it.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, have a great day. Check out Dr. She's nice. It's difficult to really articulate, but representing Bound in public is a new experience. We've never done that. There's some point in the future where Bound's going to be here, and we're here now, and the Stampede means that we're going to be there in a much shorter period of time.
This has been such a rewarding process for me to see all these startups come downtown, take a space that was vacant, didn't have a lot of activity, and really energize it.
It's nice to have these people kind of taking their dreams and moving them forward, and we've tried to help them do that the best way we can.
So that video, keep you all awake. That video was actually shot as a sizzle reel for TLC. We were trying to pitch them on this concept of doing like a reality show of people trying to get companies going. And they, after they came in and met with the teams, they're like, there's not enough drama. Like, we need people like breaking chairs and like running around Durham screaming and that sort of thing. But it was pretty cool. They did this sizzle reel for us and kind of captured a bit of the spirit of what we were trying to do at the Stampede. Hey, we can advance a little. Thank you. So again, coming out of this, we ran this session 3 sessions across about a year and a half. We worked with 36 companies. 20 of those within a year or two of the Stampede were still operating in downtown Durham. So from the standpoint of like people coming into downtown, getting a company started and wanting to stay, realizing, hey, this is actually a really cool city to get a company going in, there are resources here, I want to be a part of this. Totally worked. I did a quick grab of some of the teams that were a part of the Stampede that are still here. You saw City Fabric, a guy named Matt Tomasu, who's now in Raleigh, ran that company. Freshly Given, which is like a handmade leather goods company. Casey's got the purse if you want to check it out. Our very own Haiti Hub, Carlo in the back. I missed Dan's company, which should be on there as well. Little Green Software, now on Parish Street. Offline Media in Raleigh, Organic Transit, everybody knows those elf cars that are solar powered, things like that. Scored, which is actually now in Seattle. Went through Techstars in Chicago, Sweeps in Chapel Hill, The Art of Cool, Cicely's here. And then Anil was working on something that wasn't Archive Social at the time when he and I crossed paths with this. He was actually working on a wedding app, which I just love thinking of Anil sitting, writing code, working on a wedding app. And obviously he's done great things with Archive Social. This model got replicated in 3 other cities nationally, one in the Northeast and a couple in North Carolina. The thing that it did, and I'm going to segue into kind of what we're going to do with the program going forward, is it drove a lot of density in terms of the entrepreneurial community in downtown Durham. And one of the things that came out of it, I think, that was helpful was it helped to organize the entrepreneurial ecosystem in Durham in a new way. So a founder could come to us and say, I need help with this certain issue. We actually had a Rolodex of people that we could connect him or her with that didn't really exist before then. And that was really, really valuable because at the time you saw in the video, something like 50 startups in downtown Durham, that number is at about 350 today. And so the better organized that ecosystem is, obviously the more we're able to help each of you in this room get access to resources, connect with the right people and each other. And that was really critical. So this program got shelved in 2013. And thanks in large part to NCIDEA, which opened up an ecosystem partner grant, kind of kicked us off the sideline with this idea to think about bringing it back in a new format, which is what I wanted to share with y'all today. And the revision is going to focus on consumer product companies. So the underground team, we've had a lot of conversations about the growth of the underground space and the community that's here, all of which we're really excited and proud of, all the work that you all do every day. And one of the things that kind of caught our eye as we were thinking about the future of the entrepreneurial community in Durham is that sort of in spite of the fact that there isn't really an ecosystem to support consumer product companies, there are successful companies popping up here. I mean, you see some of those on the screen behind me. There are many, many more. And I think that's sort of curious that in spite of the fact that if you talk to Tatiana, she's hustling and trying to find somebody to help with distribution or even just talent to work in a consumer product company, that is a bit harder than finding a software developer or somebody who does software sales. And so that got us thinking a bit about, I wonder how we could better support that community and would a program like this, that's a 2-month free incubation program, work for that community. And so that's what we're doing with the Startup Stampede. That's what we're going to bring back. And that'll start in January of 2017. So here's how this is going to work. In order to be considered for the program, you have to have run a successful Kickstarter or crowdfunding campaign. Now the logic of that is that we want teams that are kind of coming from the same starting point to be in the program together. We need to know that you have some amount of customer interest and traction, that there's excitement about your product, that people are willing to pay for it, so that we can help you kind of take the next step. It also, and then the big thing here that we're trying to do is take those product companies and rather than have them move into a physical space right away, help them with their digital storefront, if you will. So one of the mistakes that we've seen some companies make, especially in the product space, because they're so sort of focused on the physical space, is go directly into a brick and mortar storefront, which we feel like is a mistake. We feel like one of the biggest things we can offer is helping these consumer product companies figure out their digital strategy. How do you go from cool product with some traction to a really killer website, an e-commerce strategy, tight branding and messaging, and a really clear path for doing order fulfillment, logistics, those kinds of things. And what's cool about this is giving a chance to sort of connect the consumer product space with what this area is really good at, right? Which is a lot of software and a lot of tech. How do we tie those two worlds together and help both be better? And so we think we're going to be able to do this with the Stampede. And the last point there, and part of what we're trying to achieve here is, in some of the same way that we did this with the Stampede in the past, where we helped organize the ecosystem a little bit in terms of who are the founders, who are the investors in this community, who are the product experts, who are the attorneys and accountants and others who can help specific product companies. We want to be able to organize that for this community as well. So here's some of what's provided. We're lining up all the mentors for this right now. It's things like branding, web development, logistics, kind of working a team through a 2-month process of figuring out all of these pieces so that at the end they're ready to launch that digital storefront. They've got a clear path to market to be able to grow their customer base online instead of in a brick and mortar space. We're not saying the brick and mortar space shouldn't be on the table. We're just saying in the very near future, focus on building a big customer base online and then worry about the brick and mortar piece second. How many of you are familiar with like a company like Warby Parker? I mean, this is like right out of their playbook, right? They figured out the online play first, and they got really good at that and grew really quickly, and then they came back with sort of niche plays around physical spaces in certain cities. And that's what we're trying to help these companies do: order fulfillment, coaching, e-commerce strategy, digital marketing, and then at the end, launching an online storefront. So applications are going to open January 1st. They'll be open for about 30 days. We'll pick the teams starting in February, and then March and April, these companies will be here in the underground being incubated and kind of growing and building out their digital strategy. We're thinking about working with somewhere between 6 and 8 companies, really helping them figure out this scaling piece. And one of the things I'm excited about is that as this program's winding down, we incidentally have some pretty interesting and powerful music festivals in Durham in the month of May that we could potentially partner with to debut these consumer product companies that I think is a special opportunity. We also think there's a big opportunity here to get teams from out of market. So part of the grant that we received from NCID is actually going to go to housing stipends for individuals and founders who might not be in the area, who want to come into Durham and take part of this program. We actually have a little bit of money to help them relocate and stay. Our application isn't live yet, but you can go to startupstampede.com, enter your email address if you're interested in learning more and hearing a bit about this. These are some of the goals. I got one more slide after this, and then I want to take some questions. But again, launching this digital storefront for every participating team, getting that live really quickly after the program ends, hopefully before the program ends. We think one of the really unique opportunities with consumer product companies is the opportunity to get national media in particular. No offense to all software companies, but media loves to cover product companies, and it's pretty understandable why. You know, if you're the USA Today or Forbes of the world, you know, writing about a Mati or a Nugget is easy for the reader to engage with because they can understand, oh, cool couch made out of foam noodles, or the material that foam pool noodles are made from. That's pretty neat. How does that work? It's lightweight, it's portable, this is really cool. We think there's a cool opportunity there to continue to position Durham as the startup capital of the South because these product companies are particularly interesting to media. The other thing that I think is powerful in this that I didn't include in the slide is that if you think about what this means for youth in our community, this is a bit of a long-term play here, but think about students in our public school system who are interested in entrepreneurship, who could come in and see the graduates of this program who are building product companies and say, aha, that's something I can see myself doing. I can be a part of this path into entrepreneurship as a potential career path, which is pretty cool. Obviously, job creation, helping these companies scale, we're going to be measuring all those things, investment. And then the last thing, we're playing around with this idea in partnership with the Chamber of like what happens after this program. So somebody gets a good online storefront launched and gets some customer traction. Wouldn't it be cool if downtown Durham had an urban market where Brian Tuffy could go at lunchtime and say, I need to get a present for my niece. And you could go through and see 10 of these like pop-up retailers who are trying out their product idea, get a sandwich from a pop-up restaurant or whatever, all in this sort of experimental space in Durham. I think that would be amazing. You could create a real destination around that. And so that's one of the ideas we have. We're playing around with a prize package that might include sending one of the winning teams out to San Francisco. There's a mall incubator in San Francisco that Molly and I came across. We were out there a couple weeks ago, that allows retailers to try their idea in mall storefronts for a couple of days over the weekend when there's a lot of foot traffic. It's the only mall in downtown San Francisco. So maybe we feature one of the teams there. We're thinking through those kinds of things, and that's where I want to sort of leave it with y'all, is that we need your help spreading the word, and we know that y'all are a lot smarter than we are, and we love your thoughts on like, hey, you should think about partnering with so-and-so, or hey, I have a friend who knows somebody at Warby Parker and can maybe have the CEO come in and speak to the teams, or whatever those things are. We want to tap into a network of all of you who are in this room and beyond this room to make this a really exceptional program. We're gonna kick off a consumer product meetup in October 20th at West End Wine Bar at 5 o'clock. Y'all are welcome to join that. Invite your friends, family, peers that you think would be interested in this. This is a meetup focused just on the consumer product community. Again, to start organizing and networking that group together in a better way. And then the last point, connect us with potential mentors and investors. So again, if I want to leave you with one thing, we feel like this is a really exciting moment. We're grateful to NC Idea to give us kind of the fuel to make this happen. We feel like this is another way that our region can kind of be at the tip of the spear of how we're supporting more and more entrepreneurial activity in the community. So we welcome you all to be involved in this. We'd love your help. Help us spread the word, help us make this awesome, and I appreciate y'all's time. Thank you.